Now, when I say that Namibia is borderline becoming a capitalist state, I'm not saying um, that it's on purpose or someone is orchestrating it or they see it as a way, but it is merely certain things being allowed and certain priorities being ignored, that people become dependent only on one organization that they believe uh, can move them forward, help them, and it's the same one that they go to beg for help and line up and strike and so forth. So this is all because of that mentality that was set, the ideology of we will set you free, and when you are free, we will give you what you didn't have before. But that's not the case, because Namibia was given freedom, but they weren't exactly given the economic capital of the country from scratch zero. And when I say from scratch zero, I would say where they own the mines, butter, diamonds for equipment, and then use the little resources that are available to sustain the country and to help the country grow. Now, this wasn't the plan. It was basically a two-way game. It was like make them feel satisfied while we still preserve certain things right in front of their eyes, and they won't notice it. Communism, communist parties, socialism, all of that stuff, Marxist. Um, this is not the generation that will easily embrace that, because this is the generation that embraces diversity more, and this is the generation that want to see forward movement as opposed to stagnant debates that are unnecessary, where people are just debating as opposed to actually working to try and put something in place. And this is globally the case, and it's why there is so much miscontent. I spoke about marching earlier, but my volume wasn't there, so that's that. But when it comes to how do we help ourselves out of certain situations, there are certain situations we can help ourselves out by. For example, the ShopRite monopoly, the Pick and Pay monopoly, and all other South African things that we import, right? And we have the cashiers who are basically paid peanuts. If you look at the hours that they work, and they are casuals, meaning they can be fired at any time. They can be fired due to suspicion even. So how do you force the other government to be tough on their stores and their retailers? Simple. You ally yourself with some comrades in that particular company, and there will be a time when people will sign contracts You work here for at least 6 months, then you have to write another contract, and so on, as opposed to the way that it works now. Click on scan through plastic, go, and that's it. And then they are seen as unimportant, like the job is not important, and thus anybody can do it. I observed this when there was a strike by the petrol attendants. They had a strike, and I said, don't go to the strike, don't strike. But people were angry, frustrated, and then they started to do the march, and they did it wrong. Saying, my leader, where are you going, and all that stuff. It wasn't going to make sense, because as casuals, they got fired right away. I bet it's word from some guy in South Africa who doesn't even know the conditions that people are living in. And they were fired and replaced just like that. So, this unfairness can only be devalued by Randful Check, as well as our allies, who I know are willing and would be able to help us as we help them to force these companies to treat people with dignity. Right? Now, one of the other things is that when an American delegation said they know about Namibian human trafficking, there was a response that, no, maybe you don't understand the way things work here. If someone is hiking for a car here, and they enter a car and they pay, that is not trafficking. So it became, the meaning of trafficking is differently understood. But then I had people get shipped in containers without documents, without anything, basically making them slaves to the people who they come to work for. Because if you go back, you have broken the law. Alright? Because China is still at its core communist. But people don't understand why is it there are so many people that they bring to do tenders and to do ABC. Well, most of those people, to be realistic and honest, are not well paid. They are paid a lower price than a Namibian would get. Right? And they are also forced sometimes. So how do we legitimize business if we allow certain practices to go through because somehow it benefits and then somehow it's against human rights law? That will mean that the country won't be taken seriously. It's the same as someone buying a brand new Boeing, right? Boeing plane, and saying, well, I need assistance, financial assistance, because I am I'm becoming poor. Who would help that individual? Who would feel obliged? They would feel that there are more pressing matters other than that particular section. And that conundrum is exactly what leaves us not at a stalemate, but more like checkmate every time. The confidence that we lack, right? The confidence that we lack is due to some people who were traumatized, didn't get help, and some people become drunkards, actual alcoholics who need treatment, group gathering and discussions in order for them to actually come out of that. And I don't see much attention being put on that. For example, when I spoke of people who had non-violent, right, convictions, non-violent, meaning they didn't physically harm someone, because you can go to prison and be as sorry as you are, but you killed a life. And then I saw a guy that killed his girlfriend or his wife. As much as he prepared a speech that would make him sound sympathetic, there's no way to reverse that. And it's actually the wrong type of example to set. Right? So, as youth, people are saying, youth will carry the world forward. Now, here's one thing I want to state. People, in their mid-20s, 26 up and 40 down, these are the leaders of tomorrow, and they are definitely being suppressed, and some of them are being wheelchaired into positions that they cannot possibly achieve. So then we have a deficit. We have a deficit of people who are innovative, who are passionate, and who think beyond themselves. We lack this, we have to admit it. Because the whole favorites game, like this little girl was in my neighborhood and she did ABC, so now you should help out completely. Take her to places where knowing full well that she hasn't really accomplished things that would allow her to get to that point. I watched the TEDx Namibia, and boy, were there a lot of people paraphrasing me, but I was glad. The only time I was discontent, when I showed discontent, was when a man went on national TV and spoke about how and what can we do for the youth and all that. Wait, let me put this up. Okay. I think I'm good now. Oh, I forgot now. Damn. Anyway, as I was saying, that whole big people, when knowingly that they don't really qualify, it being more of a personal favor, those things are destroying this generation that's supposed to go through the trials and tribulations, right? So they are protected against the tribes, and the trials and tribulations. Eventually, when they have to face it, they can't handle the pressure. It's a sign of character, but it's also a sign of leadership, right? So for 2017, the allies that I spoke of, and including unions for civil servants, should actually help out the casuals for striking, because if they don't strike, if they strike, then they're fired and replaced the next day. But if there are people doing it on their behalf, people of significant civil servants, then it will definitely show that this is a problem and it needs to be taken care of. This is why we speak of economic independence. For example, you feel money is a happy thing, it pays the bills and it does this and that, whilst money is a tool. Recently I spoke to a man. He wants to start a small business, and I told him he asked me if I could help him with his business plan, and I said of course, because I know he's very capable, he's very handy, he's very able. He's done a lot of things that surprised a lot of people who judged him according to his appearance. Now, you want to help him, and there are loans that are given to small businesses. But like with any bank, they need to see if you have assets. Or what if your plan doesn't work? Do they just kick you off as if you were leasing? So these are some of the things that we should think about. Leasing land, like leasing a farm, that is also a solution to this whole land problem. If someone has a farm that's way too big, then it can be cut, and then the other side is leased to someone. So the farmer still makes money off the farm and from the person that is leasing on the side to try and commercialize. Leasing, seriously. Terms, let's say you lease for 3 years. After 3 years, the progress is checked, and then after the next approach, the diagnosis, the progress is checked again. And if you fail, you fail. But if you succeed, then the government can intervene and say, okay, this guy has succeeded. We want to buy this farm and resettle him here. Not to go to someone's farm and tell them, can you sell this? If not, why not? And why do you want me to sell my farm? Because I'm white? That's what goes through people's minds. Why is it that it's only white people's minds that are being inspected? Even though they are the majority, that's the mindset. So, if that's the mindset that they have, then obviously using this loop isn't a bad thing. In fact, it's almost salvation. Before I talk for 30 minutes, this is New Year's, and it's going to be New Year's. It's a lot of work, a lot